Before we start, I would like you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Beyond Crazy. 7. FBI informant turned serial killer. Another mass murderer out of the state of Colorado, Scott Lee Kimball, confessed to killing a minimum of 4 people between 2002 and 2004. Kimball was released on bond before his multiple crimes of fraud. Willing to help the FBI, he worked as an FBI informant during his killing spree. Each of his 4 victims was last seen with Kimball, which helped lead to his arrest for their murders. However, during the 2 years that he was out of prison, it has been suspected that Kimball killed up to 21 victims. Kimball is currently serving 70 years in prison. Number 6. Coors family murder. The Coors family is perhaps the most successful and well-known family in Colorado history. Coors Beer is at the center of this family's dynasty and largely made them successful throughout the Rockies. However, despite the family's success, they too have experienced tragedy. In 1960, Adolph Coors III was in line to inherit the Coors dynasty. However, on his way to work in Golden, Colorado, a man by the name of Joseph Corbett kidnapped Adolph. Corbett was a prison escapee who had previously been convicted of murder in California. He later demanded a ransom of $500,000 for the return of Adolph Coors III. However, months later, the body of Coors was found in Douglas County at a dump site. Corbett was captured and sentenced to life in prison. However, he was released on parole in 1980. Corbett later killed himself in 2009. Number 5. The Hammer Killer. In 1984, the city of Aurora was sent into shock as 3 family members were found murdered in their own home. Bruce Benet, his wife Deborah, and their 7-year-old daughter Melissa was found dead, scattered around their house. Perhaps the most disturbing thing about these murders was the fact that they were brutally killed by the use of a hammer. The only survivor was the family's 3-year-old daughter, who was also attacked with a hammer. A man named Alex Ewing was responsible for the deaths of the family members. However, Ewing would not face trial for this crime for nearly 40 years. He was also found to have gone on a 12-day rampage throughout the state, committing rape, assaults, and even murder. A woman named Patricia Smith. The crime would also remain unsolved for decades. After the crime spree in Colorado, Ewing was arrested in Nevada after assaulting a couple with an axe handle. He was sentenced to 40 years in prison for that crime. Then in 2018, DNA evidence surfaced that tied Ewing to the Benet family and Smith murderers. Convictions in 2021 and 2022 saw Ewing guilty of all 4 murders, receiving 4 life sentences. Number 4. Ted Bundy. A fact that not many people know is that one of the most notorious killers in American history, Ted Bundy, has also had ties to murders in Colorado. Among his 20 victims who were confirmed, 3 of the murders took place in Colorado. During his time in Colorado in the year 1975, Bundy was being tried for kidnapping in a Glenwood Springs courthouse. The judge allowed him to use the courtroom's library, where Bundy actually escaped from a second-story window. 8 days after his capture, he was able to escape again from a jailhouse in 1977, where he went on to commit more murders across the country before being captured. Number 3. Vincent Groves. Yet another serial killer from Colorado, Vincent Groves had murdered as many as 17 people in the Denver metropolitan area. By method of strangulation, Groves had been on a killing spree from 1979 to 1990. Preying on prostitutes, Groves was able to go largely undetected. Although he had spent time in and out of prison in these years, his first sentence was in 1982 for the second-degree murder of a 17-year-old girl. He was then released on parole in 1988, where he went on to murder more vulnerable girls and women. In 1990, Groves was finally sentenced to life in prison for the murder of a 19-year-old girl and given an extra 20 years for the manslaughter of another woman. Groves died in 1996 without giving any details about his heinous crimes. Number 2. William Neal, Denver axe murderer. In 1998, a man named William Neal confessed to the torture and murder of 3 women. He brought these women, who he allegedly had relationships with, to a Denver townhome, claiming that he had a surprise for them. In total, 4 women were at the scene of the crime. Upon their arrival at the townhome, Neal bludgeoned 2 of the women with an axe and left them for dead. The 4th woman, who was kidnapped, was tied to the bed next to the bodies, raped and forced to watch as Neal slaughtered the 3rd girl with an axe. Neal later confessed to a TV host and later to the police. Neal was sentenced to death in 1999, but the sentence was later commuted to life in prison in 2003. Number 1. Richard Paul White. In November 2003, a man named Richard Paul White was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences in addition to 144 years in prison. Richard Paul White confessed to killing 6 victims, 5 women and 1 man, by drugging, raping, and ultimately strangling them. In his Denver home, 2 victims were found buried in his backyard. Like many others on the list, White usually targeted prostitutes to carry out his crimes. The only one that was shooting his friend Jason Richard. Unlike the others, Richard was shot by White in the head. Richard was also found in the home in the upstairs room with a bullet in the head. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.